Hey everybody, how y'all doing? It's Milton Spence once again coming to you live with the Well-Rounded Coach's Corner. Today I do not have a guest. The reason being is because of the fact I was led to do this one by myself. So you get a chance to listen to me talk to you for maybe 20 or 30 minutes of your time. I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate you for even listening to me. And mostly I appreciate the support that I have been receiving and things that have been coming as a fruition of the guests that I had on last week and the weeks prior. So thank you for everything that has been bestowed upon me personally and bestowed upon the brand of Well-Rounded Consulting. So today the topic is going to be on men, fellas, and our ability, not only with authenticity, but our ability to relate to the woman when it comes to understanding her and it comes to understanding her vibe. So for me, as a man that was pretty much born and raised in the state of Georgia, I had my father who passed away when I was 8 years old, but mostly I was raised by my mother. And I was raised by my mother and my sister, my older sister Tashana, and my grandmother, my grandfather. Those were the main people in my life. And what I learned a lot was, a lot of my life I did something where I like to consider I embraced what was being taught to me early because it was very easy to embrace. I don't have my own mind yet. I don't have my view of the world yet. I have yet to really talk to a lot of women yet or engage with certain things when it comes to women. Then when I had the opportunity to get out here and start to meet ladies and have me a little girlfriend here and there and be able to talk to ladies, I started to kind of reject the treatment, or not treatment, but reject the instruction of the women at my home. And the reason being is because I started to feel as if I knew women. I started to feel as if I understood because why? I had this experience and now I know exactly what I'm doing. But little did I know, I didn't know anything. I didn't know a thing. All I knew was that I thought that I knew something. And maybe I had a little success with women, maybe I had an opportunity to sleep with one or two. I had the opportunity to kiss a couple and talk to a couple. I had some success with that. So I felt like, hey, I don't really need to understand anymore. I get it already. This is easy. You talk, you make them smile, you make them laugh, and then you get down to the nitty gritty. And now you've had sex and now you're the man because your boys are like, yeah, that's it. Let's hype them up. That is the synopsis of most men's life. We have women who are in our lives, and sometimes we don't have women in our lives, who teach us things, but we also have men in our lives who try to teach us things about women. But what we end up doing is going out here and making a full synopsis of a woman based upon the fact of our experience with her, and a lot of times it has to do with our sexual experience with the woman. Now, the craziest part to all of that is the sexual experience with the woman is almost like the very last tier of that woman. Now, I get it to be sexually charged. I totally get it to be sexually want this woman or to be sexually involved and things of that nature. I totally understand. But the fact still remains, there's so many layers to a lady that you have to break through in order that when you get to that point of sex, she is not just in a state of not using you, just using you, but in a state of just reaching a climax with you, an orgasm, but never really climaxing with you in the formations of spirituality, mentality, and physicality. So they all have to tie in together because that woman is, regardless if she's understanding of it, she's an incubator. What that means is she harbors things within herself in order to bring life to it, and sometimes ends up hurting her or killing her, right? I could go into so many details and so many things about that. I don't want to. My main focus is to talk to men and help us understand something about these ladies. Women are deeper than you would imagine. The surface things that we see on social media, the surface things that we hear, the things that we read, I don't ever think that touches on anything. I feel like everybody has something to say, but a lot of it is not worth saying. I feel like everybody has an opinion, but everything is not worth the attention. Let me tell you something. You have ladies out here who have the ability to have something great in you as a man if they understood more about themselves. And you have the ability, man, to understand something great and have something great about women if you understand more about yourself. And here's why. You and that woman are not too different. I know some of the first thoughts that come to mind, well, they show more emotion than we do. They cry, they do these things more than we do. They have this more than us. They are this way and we're that way. And no, what you're talking about at that point is how you were raised and environmental influence, not necessarily just how they are in general, right? What makes us different, obviously, is the genitalia, right? So I need to be able to provide the seed to the woman in order for her to be able to incubate said seed, and then we have a child, and that's called reproduction. So that is how we are different. We basically have to have two odds in order to make a whole, right? Now you have ladies where they do know who they are or are in a position to really understand and grow to understanding who they are. And you have some men who are in that same position. And a lot of times what ends up happening is you meet a person where maybe you're mature in your manhood and maybe she's mature in her womanhood individually, but then you don't end up meeting each other. You end up meeting the people who need to get to whatever level you're on. And so what happens is there becomes this tainted view of what manhood is and what womanhood is, because you're mixing and matching yourself to women and men, quote unquote, who are not sufficient enough to handle who and what you are. Now, I'm going to tell you this, to go back to what I'm really trying to say here, is that, fellas, if you really, really want to understand a woman, here's what you must do. You must, and I mean this, you must really, really get down to the nitty-gritty with that woman. Ask her the uncomfortable things, but don't do this. Don't ask her these uncomfortable things that you've yet to ask your same self that question. You've yet to ask yourself that question. Same self doesn't make sense, but you've yet to ask yourself that same question. Make sure you're giving yourself that same quote unquote interrogation as you're going to give to this lady, because as a man, your responsibility is not just to lead the lady by vocally doing so, but to lead her through action. If she can watch you and not just be impressed by you, my good friend, and to be impressed by you is cool. You want the boys to be impressed, cool, but to be impressed by you means diddly to me. If you want her to be more than impressed, what you must do is lead her through the example of how you treat yourself. Once she sees that you have respect for yourself, respect for people around you that you love, who you've taken as either they are your actual family or people who you've taken in as friends, how you treat your career, how you treat your business, how you treat any and everything that you do or that you're involved in, and you let her know if you're going to integrate with this, whether you let her know verbally or just by her observation, if you're going to integrate with this, then you're going to need to be just the same, not the same as me or liking the same things that I like, but you're going to have to do the basis, the principles. You're going to have to be into yourself just as much as I'm into myself. And what I mean by that is not a mean of selfishness, but I mean being into yourself as far as being in tune with who you are and what you are. How do you get to those points with yourself? Well, it takes time. It takes time, it takes sacrifice, and you have to be able to put yourself in a position to say, I am not going to entertain a lady who's going to take away from me getting into knowing myself. I'm not going to entertain things that are going to take away from me getting to know who I am. I'm not going to do things that are not going to help me. I'm not going to be places that are not going to help me. I'm not going to read things that aren't going to help me, listen to things that aren't going to help me. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that, not that I'm just a whole person, because you're still going to be flawed, but that I know exactly who and what I am. And the beauty about that is the fact that when you know who you are, you know exactly what you aren't. So you don't have to flex, you don't have to front, you don't have to put up anything. So when you go around this lady and you meet her, whether you're interested in her initially or not, or you meet her and you are interested, the fact is she should be able to pick up from you just by who you are and how you are with yourself, that you are a man, without you having to pronounce it and beat on your chest and say, I'm the man. She should be able to pick that up. Sometimes in certain situations, that woman would be able to pick that up, and that will make her run from you. I warn you, fellas, if the woman is running from you and telling you that you are more than what she can handle, do not chase her down. Do not chase her down. Allow her to leave, because you should be that much more confident in yourself and say, look, that means the quality of lady that I'm looking for or need has to be able to meet me where I am, not pull me back somewhere so I can meet her where she's at, and then we try to go back to where I am, because it never works out that way. How many people do you know that's been in relationships and they've literally lost themselves in this person, or they've literally downgraded themselves in order to be with this person, or they've gone back on things, or gone back to their past in order to try to come back to their future? It never works. The only thing that honestly works is when you give yourself the opportunity, the mentality, when you give yourself everything in order to continue to be who and what God has made you to be. People who are meant to come in your life, it's orchestrated, right? It is an orchestrated thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's not something you have to force. But one thing you have to do is constantly get in position and be in place to get to knowing who you are and getting in touch and in tune with yourself. Because all you're going to end up doing is battling left and right to the point where you are basically guiding yourself through choosing this woman, choosing that woman, choosing it, and you don't know exactly what you want or who you want. You're going to find that you're attracted to this type and this type. But wait a minute, I don't know, because you don't even know exactly who you are and what you are, not just what you bring to the table, because I hate people saying that all the time, what I bring to the table. Let me tell you something. You bring to the table the fact of if you can bring a bunch of money to the table, but you still have low self-esteem and low self-worth, you're not bringing a lot to the table. I would rather bring everything else that means something as far as my mentality, physicality, spirituality, those things to the table. The fact that I take care of myself mentally, physically, and spiritually. I'm spiritually fit. I'm physically fit. I want those things to be brought to the table, so that way when I go to talk to this woman, she understands that I'm coming from a place of a man who is physically disciplined, mentally disciplined, spiritually disciplined. So she will, or maybe she might try to infringe upon that, but she understands that if that's the way you are, then you may expect that from her. And if she is not that same way, guess what will happen? You guys will dissipate, and that's fine. It's okay. So I wanted to say that to the gentlemen, but let's talk about the ladies. Fellas, let me tell you something. You have to get deeper into these ladies. Ladies out here, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I talk to ladies, I counsel ladies, I listen to ladies, and I listen to how they act. I watch statuses, I look at all these things, and it's literally like doing a live study. It's great. These ladies are looking for you, my good friend, my good brother. They're looking for you to lead them, not control. They're looking for you to lead them, because honestly, they're like, I am not whole without my other chromosomes, if you will. I'm not whole without the testosterone. There's a reason why we have an imbalance within ourselves as we're born. Within our own DNA, there's imbalance, because if we take on the opposite sex, that is not that they quote unquote make you whole in the sense of they are your everything, and you live your entire life surrounded and based upon the ground that they walk and the air that they breathe. No, it just means that they figuratively, spiritually, mentally are supposed to be your equal, are supposed to be something that comes together and meshes with you. Because if they're not, what ends up happening is you have a relationship that goes awry. You have a relationship that has no reciprocation. You have a relationship that is totally off balance, and now you don't even have a true relationship. You just got two people in a situationship, calling it a relationship, hoping for it to go further, hoping for it to do this, and you're telling each other sweet nothings, but reality always is in the back of your head saying this is not it, this is not the one, you need to run for the hills. And what you end up doing is being in that situation or being in that relationship for such a while, to the point where now you're like, oh man, I need to get out of here. And that's when you become the dog, or you might become the heartbreaker, you might become the one of this. The fact is, if you do the homework if you do the homework prior to even getting down to the bare bones dating stage, not just the bare bones, but if you do the homework before getting to the severe courting stage or anything like that, if you do your work, gentlemen, you will save yourself the headache. Now, these ladies are looking for a leader because of the fact it is within them to do so, right? It is up to you, though, how you lead the woman. You can lead a woman to her demise, or you can lead her to her victory. If you, good brother, if you are doing everything in your power to make sure that you are aligned with your purpose, doing what you're called to do, doing what God wills you to do, you will also do the same for the woman. What better leadership can you give a woman than to lead her to who and what she's supposed to be here on this earth, so that her earthly life is fulfilled, not just as far as in action, but also in mind. Because sometimes you're going to get with this woman and now she's expecting or trying to fill the void that she's not living or doing or living in her truth or being whatever she's meant to be with you, and you can't fit. It's not your job. So it's your job to lead her to those things that will help complete her, right? In the totality. Because sometimes you may come to this woman, let's say you're following your path, you're doing what you're meant to do, but this woman comes to you and she's not. Now you have two, but the fact is she's a part of that whole. She's going to make you whole. But now you have this woman who's not doing it, the exact things that you're doing. So now you're going to have a pretty tough time, because you cannot honestly make her be where you are. You can try to lead and guide her to where you are. But the reality is, if she is not ready to partake or is not really ready to do those things within her life, it's going to be something that's over. And I've seen great relationships, great people who have had, a really keen liking to each other, but they just did not fit. And that is okay. If they don't fit, that's okay. You don't have to force it. You don't have to make it. You just don't fit. Now, let's discuss. I would like for every guy to also do this, and I'm hoping that I'm dropping some points home for you guys. I would like every guy to do this. Take inventory of the ladies that you entertain already. Take inventory of your own wife if you have one. Take inventory of yourself and see if this lady is a reflection of the woman that you honestly want to be with. Sit down, take some time with yourself, gentlemen. Get inside your own head for a second and figure out exactly who and what you are, and if that woman is going to mesh with who and what you are. You can't fit a square peg in a round hole. You cannot do it. You can try, you can force it, you can flip it, turn it. It will not go in. Okay? So do not waste her or your time. If she is the one, and if you're there and you're dating a woman and you know for a fact she's it, do not be afraid to wife her. Don't be afraid to ask her to be your wife, because what you have to understand is being a husband and wife also involves creating a life and orchestrating and being an architect of a life together. But in order to do that, the two people have to come together also knowing exactly who and what they are. Because how can you orchestrate or architect a life with materials that don't even make sense? Right? Or I portray that I'm the hammer and the nails, but really I ain't nothing but a bunch of sulky tissue. Like, that doesn't make sense. So you have to know who and what this person is and get down to the nitty gritty with them. Understand who they are by understanding who you are, so that when you're asking them questions or they're talking to you and you're listening to them, you can align it or say, this does not align with where I'm trying to go or what I'm trying to do or who I am at the moment. A lot of times we take on these relationships and friendships with women with one goal in mind, and that's to have sex with her. The reality is, what you should be trying to do is get down into the things that are going to matter, because eventually you could have sex with her and eventually she could turn into the devil on you, or eventually you could turn into an angel. But you don't know that if your main focus is just getting some draws. I'm going to be straightforward and honest and tell you, if your focus is just to have sex with this woman, you need to reevaluate yourself, because you should have way more respect for yourself, gentlemen, than to pass around your penis to other women. Just be honest. You should have way more respect for yourself and understand that what you have going for yourself is a reproductive organ that is not something to be taken lightly, right? bringing children into the world, the potential of bringing children into the world should not be taken lightly. So the woman who you're having sex with, it should be somebody that you can foresee being not just a great mother to your kids as far as you being her baby's father, but a great wife to you as well, and somebody who you know for a fact is worth your time, somebody who is worth your sex, worth your reproductive organ. Because if they are not worth that, then you have also devalued your own self-worth. You've let me know that you don't know who you are, you don't know how much you're worth, and you don't really believe or trust in yourself the way you should. Everything about you screams that you really need to get in tune with the man that you are. Now, I'm going to challenge every man to do this as well. We said we want to get in tune with who we are, but I'm going to challenge you to do this as well. Take the opportunity that if something has to change, change it. Don't make excuses about it. That's it. Don't make excuses about it. Change it. If it involves you having to move away from certain people, do it. Remember, your life is way more important than the people who come into your life trying to just gobble things up from your life. Your life is way more important. You have time. Time is of the essence for you. You have a goal on this earth. You have a purpose on this earth. Do not waste it chasing women. Women will always be there because people are constantly having sex, having kids. Okay, and you have women who are here. You don't have to chase. You don't have to do all of that. You have to get in tune with who you are. And what you'll be surprised of, fellas, is when you really get in tune with who you are and you're being exactly who you are, women will start to around you. Not to the point where they're throwing themselves at you, but sometimes that will happen too. But women will surround you, and it's not that you can't pursue them in the fact of getting to know them, but it's the fact that you shouldn't be out here just chasing them down left and right unless God himself comes to you and say, look, that's your wife right there, go get her. Otherwise, don't chase them down, because you're going to end up, and I've seen way too many people end up with headaches and heartaches and pain because they're just going, either falling into something or they're chasing it and they're chasing the wrong thing. So my fellas, I'm just going to tell you, as much as I would love to really deep dive into this and to really go so hard for this, I want to leave you with the simple message of, you, my friend, my brother, you need to get to know who you are. And I don't mean that just to sound cliche or to keep repeating it, but you really, truly need to get to know who you are. And don't beat around the bush with yourself. Give yourself the opportunity to fail, understanding that failure is a part of growth. Pain is a part of growth. All the things that seem to be negative that have to do with your growth are actually positives. Get in tune with your mind. Get in tune with your spirit. Get in tune with every part of you, because all you're out here doing, understand, if you have more than one woman, if you're dating, if you're doing all this stuff, all you're doing to yourself is putting yourself in the worst position possible to have a solid relationship with a lady. You could have had a woman who really knew herself and who really loved you, but because of the fact you never came around, maybe she's not here anymore. So what makes you think for 1 second that you should not be doing yourself the same? Get mature. Let go of little boy things. Do things that you know for a fact are the right thing to do. And if you don't know what to do, stop, pay attention, listen, observe, and then go after that right thing to do. Don't act irrationally. And if you have an issue, hey, go to counseling. Come talk to a coach. I coach gentlemen all the time. You know, whatever relationship issues you may have had, or whatever things that she may have done, whatever things that you really want to get over, you can talk to me. You can talk to anybody. But just make sure you're getting it off your chest, fellas. And do yourself a favor. Really get in tune with who you are. Get in tune. Don't Run, face every piece of it, because that's what makes you a man. When you're whole, when you're understanding, when you're going through healing, when you're walking towards your purpose for your life, and you're doing what you're meant to do, your manhood becomes that much more apparent, to the point where you don't even have to announce to a room, wow, he's a real male. That's a real man right there, because he does everything in his power to make sure that not only the people around him are straight, but he's straight. That's my word for the day. Thank you all, like I said, for tuning in. It's very short. I know one of the shorter episodes that I've had in a while. Nevertheless, sometimes you have to change it up, man. You have to change it up. Look, if you guys want to talk to me even further, you can reach me at 404-547-0404. That is my number. You can reach my website, www.wellrounded, WELLROUNDED consulting, CONSULTING. Okay, that is how you can reach me. That's the name of my brand, name of my business. Look me up, talk to me, tell me how I can help you based upon this topic or any other topic that has been on this podcast, the Well-Rounded Coach's Corner, and I'll be sure to get with you. And I want to let you guys know that most of all, that I love you, and second of all, whatever it is that you need in this life, know that it is attainable, and anything that you want, that you can have, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, and as long as it edifies people around you and edifies you. All right? Peace, love, and chicken grease. See you guys later.